In the first fight, we have Stephanie Luciano versus Ravena Oliveira. Two Brazilian strawweights kick off the card in Vancouver. Stephanie Luciano is 25 years old, 6-2-1, 3-1-1 in her last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 6 months ago. She lands 5.36 significant strikes per minute and has a 22% finish rate. Ravena Oliveira is 28 years old, 7-2-1, 4-1 in her last 5 fights, coming off a decision win nearly 2 years ago. She lands 1 significant strike per minute, absorbs 1.2, and has a 70% finish rate. Luciano throws over 5 significant strikes per minute, while Oliveira barely scratches 1. That's not even close. Add in a 2-year layoff for Oliveira, and rust definitely becomes a real factor. Age isn't forgiving when you've gone that long. Luciano's been active, sharp, and fighting under the lights recently. She should be able to walk Oliveira down, find her rhythm early, and either outpoint her or get a TKO. With Oliveira's timing, I just think it's going to fall apart just with all the time off. Oliveira has a solid finish rate and insane defensive numbers, only absorbing 1.2 strikes per minute. Tells me she's either very elusive or she doesn't really engage much. But I think Luciano's pressure and recent cage time give her the edge, so give me Stephanie Luciano. What's up, everybody? Crossover MMA back in here for another video. You know what time it is, UFC Vancouver breakdown. Now let's get back into it. In the next fight, we have Azmat Bekoev versus Yousri Belgaroui. Middleweights next, and this one's going to be violent. Azmat Bekoev is 29 years old, 20-3. He's undefeated in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO win 5 months ago. The dude is on an 8-fight win streak with 3 straight knockouts. He lands 7.59 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.48, and has a 70% finish rate. Bekoev is an absolute problem at middleweight. Yousri Belgaroui is 33 years old, 8-3, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO win 1 year ago. He lands 4.43 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.65, and have a 55% finish rate. The Dutch kickboxer knows how to use his length. Here's the catch though, Bekoev will be at a 7-inch reach disadvantage. Belgaroui is a tall, long, rangy striker. His game is jabs, low kicks, teeps to the body, and keeping his distance. It's classic Dutch kickboxing. Bekoev has a major grappling advantage. I expect him to close the distance, possibly work in a clinch, but get Belgaroui on the ground. Once there, he can use ground and pound to get a finish or snatch up a submission. Belgaroui's best path to victory for me will be to use the jabs, the low kicks, teeps to the body. I think all those will be very crucial for him. Once he conditions Bekoev to respect the body work and the low kicks, he should look to land a head kick if he wants to get a finish. But the moment Bekoev gets in there, backs him up against the fence, I think it's going to be all over. Bekoev's pressure and wrestling and finishing ability are just too much here, so I'm going with Azmat Bekoev. In the next fight, we have Melissa Corden versus Tainara Lisboa. This women bantamweight fight is really some hidden chaos written all over. Melissa Corden is 34 years old, 6-2, 4-1 in her last 5 fights, coming off a TKO win 11 months ago. Tainara Lisboa is 30 years old, 7-3, 4-1 in her last 5 fights, come off a submission loss 4 months ago. She lands 1.68 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 1.42, and has a 60% finish rate. Neither throws much volume. Both land under 2 strikes per minute, but both have solid finishing rates. This screams a grappling battle. Lisboa is the more active fighter recently. She just fought 4 months ago, while Corden hasn't fought in almost a year. Lisboa also has more total fights at 10-8, and it's been a bit more tested. Both have solid BJJ background based on the finishing rates, and Lisboa's recent activity and momentum give her the edge, in my opinion. She should be able to impose her grappling, stay busy in the scrambles, and get the job done against Corden. Like I said, that 11-month layoff, I think, is going to hurt her, so give me Tainara Lisboa to get it done. In the next fight, we have Prepolec versus Dober. Lightweights collide. Dober's power meets Prepolec's grit in what should be a violent scrap. Prepolec's 36 years old, 18-9, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off submission loss 5 months ago. He lands 2.87 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.12, and has a 52% finish rate. Dober's 36 years old, 27-15, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO loss 6 months ago. He lands 4.36 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.33, and has a 48% finish rate. This is the classic experienced fighter compared to the much less experienced guy. The striking numbers tell the story. Dober lands more volume at 4.36 per minute, has the better defense. Prepolec absorbs over 5 strikes per minute, which is way too much. That defensive liability is going to be a problem against Dober's power, in my opinion. Both guys are 36 years old, so age won't be a factor. But Dober's been in there with the better competition and shown he can hang in there at the higher level. Prepolec is tough, has a good finish rate, but he's just going to eat too many shots from Dober. I think Dober uses his boxing, lands the clean, power shots, either gets a finish or I think he gets a clear decision win. Prepolec's durability might keep him in it early, but I think Dober's just going to break him down. Give me Drew Dober to get it done. In the next fight, we have Danny Barlow versus Djorden Santos. It's a middleweight fight. It's absolute fire on paper. This one screams bonus check. Danny Barlow's 30 years old, 9-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a knockout loss 7 months ago. He lands 5.62 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.7, and has a 60% finish rate. Djorden Santos is 28 years old, 10-2, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 7 months ago. He lands 7.2 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.87, and has a 58% finish rate. Both guys have solid finishing rates. They land with good volume. This is fireworks waiting to happen. But the key stat here is defense. Santos absorbs almost 6 significant strikes per minute, which is brutal. Barlow's absorbing under 4, which is much better. Both men are coming off losses, so they're both hungry. Both fighters are dangerous, and who can end it in one shot? Barlow's defense, the cleaner technique, give him the edge on the feet, in my opinion. Santos can overwhelm guys with his volume, but that wide open defense gets him clipped. Barlow's patience and distance control should be the difference. Expect a war early here, both throwing heat, both landing, but once the dust settles, I like Barlow. Once the dust settles, Barlow's the sharper, more efficient fighter, could land the cleaner shots and avoid Santos's power and get another finish. Give me Danny Barlow to get it done. In the next fight, we have Bruno Silva versus Hyunsung Park. This flyweight scrap could sneak up on people. Bruno Silva's 35 years old, 14-7-2, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO loss 4 months ago. He lands 3.83 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.81, and has a 44% finish rate. Hyunsung Park is 29 years old, 10-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a submission loss 2 months ago. He lands 3.66 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.94, and has an 82% finish rate. Hyunsung Park's a legit prospect at flyweight. Dude has an 82% finish rate with over 11 fights, and he's just lost to 1. He did fight just 2 months ago, so he's active, very confident. Bruno Silva's the tough veteran, but he's 35 years old at flyweight, coming off a knockout loss to Joshua Van, and he's been inconsistent at 3-2 in his last 5. The age gap is huge, 6 years. This matters at flyweight, where speed is everything. Park's defense is also way better. He only absorbs 2.94 strikes per minute compared to Silva's 4.81. This tells me Park is a more technical, elusive fighter. He's faster and a bit more explosive and defensively responsible. Silva's experience could keep it competitive early, but Park's youth, momentum, and finishing ability, I think, will end up taking over. I think Park uses his speed and precision, avoids Silva's power, and either gets a late finish or wins by a clear decision. Silva's gonna make it tough though, but Park's the better fighter in my opinion right now, so give me Hyunsung Park to get it done. In the next fight, we have Charles Jourdain versus Davey Grant. Bantamweight violence incoming. 2 high output strikers who always deliver excitement. This one's chaos waiting to happen. Charles Jourdain is 29 years old, 16-8-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a submission win 11 months ago. He lands 5.43 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.27, and has a 56% finish rate. Davey Grant's 39 years old, 17-7, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 2 months ago. He lands 5.18 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.74, and has a 54% finish rate. This bantamweight brawl is going to be a lot of fun. Both guys are finishers with a similar record in their last 5. The key difference is the age and the defense. Davey Grant's 39, and that's pretty old at bantamweight. He's always been in wars. Jourdain is just 29 years old, coming into his prime. Grant did just fight 2 months ago and won, so he's got some recent momentum, but there's a 10-year age difference. Both guys land with similar volume, around 5 strikes per minute, so this is going to be a firefight. Both high output, both brawlers. Jourdain's slicker, faster. I think Grant might be a bit more technical. Jourdain's finishing ability gives him multiple paths to victory, but Grant's experience and composure could steal this one. Grant's always in wars. His chin is held up his entire UFC career. He's never been knocked out. When both men are throwing heat, I think Jourdain's defense fades faster. Grant's power is always dangerous, and his toughness in deep water gives him the edge, in my opinion. I think this will be a fun scrap with high entertainment value, but I'm going with the vet here in Davey Grant to get it done. In the next fight, we have Matt Frevola versus Kyle Nelson. 2 veterans, both coming off a year away from the octagon. Matt Frevola is 35 years old, 11-5-1, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO loss 1 year ago. He lands 3.37 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.69, and has a 41% finish rate. Kyle Nelson's 34 years old, 16-6-1, 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO loss 1 year ago. He lands 3.51 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.72, and has a 44% finish rate. This lightweight matchup features 2 veterans with similar records and styles. Both haven't fought in about a year. The stats are super close too. Similar striking output, similar finishing rates. The key difference is defense. Frevola absorbs 3.69 strikes per minute, while Nelson absorbs 4.72. That's a pretty big gap. Nelson also has more total fights at 23-17, which does mean he has a bit more mileage on that 34-year-old body. Nelson also gets hit a bit more. Both guys can finish the fight, but Frevola's got the slightly better defense, slightly fresher body to give him the edge, in my opinion. This is going to be a technical kickboxing match early. Both testing the range, looking for key openings. Whoever lands the cleaner shots wins. I think Frevola's timing and his defense should separate him. If Nelson can't tighten up his defense, he's going to get touched all night. I think Frevola outpoints Nelson over 3 rounds, maybe gets a late finish if Nelson's defense continues to be a problem. So yeah, give me Matt Frevola. In the next fight, we have Cody Gibson versus Aoriqqileng. Bantamweight battle, 2 veterans desperate for a win. Gibson's grappling meet Aoriqqileng striking. Cody Gibson is 38 years old, 22-11, 2-3 in his last 5 fights, coming off a submission loss 6 months ago. He lands 3.61 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.18, and has a 39% finish rate. Aoriqqileng is 32 years old, 25-12, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 1 year ago. He lands 4.65 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.46, and has a 24% finish rate. This bantamweight fight pits experience against experience. Gibson has 33 total fights, Aoriqqileng has 37. Both have been around forever. The difference here is their recent form and activity. Gibson's 2-3 in his last 5 and just fought 6 months ago. Aoriqqileng's 3-2 in his last 5 and hasn't fought in over a year. It's a huge layoff. Gibson also has the better defense, absorbing just 3.18 strikes per minute compared to Aoriqqileng's 5.46. That defensive liability is going to be a problem for Aoriqqileng. This fight comes down to discipline. Gibson has 6 submission wins, so if he can get Aoriqqileng down, he is dangerous. Aoriqqileng lands with a bit more volume on the feet, but his defense is so bad that Gibson should be able to time those takedowns and get Aoriqqileng to overcommit on strikes. I think Gibson mixes it up, gets the takedown, and can either get a submission or just controls Aoriqqileng for a decision win. Once it hits a mat, Gibson will be in control. Aoriqqileng's layoff and poor recent form catch up to him here, so I'm going with Cody Gibson. In the next fight, we have Manon versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. This women's flyweight matchup is fascinating, style versus style. Manon Fiorot is 35 years old, 12-2, 4-1 in her last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 5 months ago. She lands 5.58 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.28, and has a 43% finish rate. Jasmine Jasudavicius is 36 years old, 14-3, 5-0 in her last 5 fights. She's coming off a submission win 5 months ago. She lands 3.71 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.63, and has a 35% finish rate. Both fighters are combined 9-1 in their last 10 fights. The stats favor Fiorot in the striking output. She lands almost 6 significant strikes per minute compared to Jasmine Jasudavicius at 3.7. Fiorot also has slightly better defense, but Jasudavicius has more total fights and has been tested a bit more. The key here is styles. Fiorot's a karate striker with crisp technique, laser timing, and footwork. Jasudavicius brings that gritty, brawling, grappling, heavy pressure. If Jasudavicius can get this fight to the ground, her 4 submission wins make her very dangerous. But on the feet, Fiorot's speed and output are going to be too much, and Jasmine Jasudavicius does get hit a lot on the feet. Fiorot's takedown defense should be solid enough to keep it standing, while her striking output and precision give her the edge on the feet. Even with the Canadian crowd behind Jasmine, Fiorot's range control should win it. I think Fiorot's striking will just be a bit too much for Jasudavicius on the feet. The Canadian crowd, I think, will give Jasmine Jasudavicius a boost, and this will be closer than the odds suggest, but I'm going Manon Fiorot to get it done. In the feature fight, we have Marlon Vera versus Ayman Zahabi. Ecuadorian assassin Vera faces the dangerous Canadian Zahabi in a bantamweight thriller. This is a sneaky good one. Marlon Vera is 32 years old, 23-10-1, 2-3 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 1 year ago. He lands 4.27 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 5.37, and has a 53% finish rate. Ayman Zahabi is 37 years old, 13-2, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 5 months ago. He lands 4.42 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 4.13, and has a 53% finish rate. This is a great matchup. Ayman Zahabi's on a perfect 6-fight win streak. Fought just 5 months ago. He's been very active and confident. Vera is coming off a year layoff after losing the decision, which is concerning. The stats are pretty even in the striking output, but Zahabi has better defense. He only absorbs 4.13 strikes per minute compared to Vera's 5.37. The defensive gap does matter. Zahabi also has a 53% finish rate and is more defensively sound. But here's the thing. Vera's been in there with the better competition. He's fought 34 times and faced killers. Zahabi only had 15 total fights, and experience matters at this level. Vera's also fighting in Canada, but Zahabi's Canadian, so the home crowd advantage definitely goes to him. The layoff for Vera is the biggest concern. A full year away is tough to come back from, but Vera's a proven finisher with elite striking and kicks. His experience, veteran savvy should help him navigate Zahabi's game. I think he finds a way to land something big in the later rounds. This is a close one, but I'm biased. As you can see, I got to meet Marlon Vera, so I'm rocking with him. Give me Marlon Vera to get it done. In the co-main event, we have Kevin Holland versus Mike Malott. Welterweight fireworks. Holland's unorthodox style meets Malott's Canadian grappling in a battle for rankings. This one's going to be fun. Kevin Holland's 32 years old, 28-14, 2-3 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision loss 2 months ago. He lands 4.3 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.22, and has a 55% finish rate. Mike Malott's 33 years old, 12-2-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights, coming off a TKO win 5 months ago. He lands 4.09 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.96, and has a 73% finish rate. This welterweight co-main is a styles clash. Kevin Holland has 42 total fights. That's just a crazy amount of fights. Mike Malott only has 15, but he does have that 73% finish rate, mostly by submission. Holland just fought 2 months ago and lost by submission. Tells me his grappling defense still a work in progress. Malott's a BJJ black belt with 9 submission wins. He's fighting at home in Canada. The crowd is going to be electric for him. The striking stats are pretty even, but Malott has slightly better defense. Holland's strength is that chaotic, unorthodox striking ability he has and his ability to scramble. If he keeps it standing and makes it messy, he's got a shot. Holland always has a puncher chance, especially with that 8-inch reach advantage in this fight. But Holland stands very bladed and susceptible to low kicks. Consistency has been the big issue for him in the past. You never know which Kevin Holland is going to show up. Mallett's Malot's game plan should be clear. Take Holland down, control him, and hunt for a submission. Holland's recent submission loss shows that he is still a viable path against him. With the Canadian crowd roaring, I think Malott uses that home energy, gets Holland to the ground, locks up a submission. In the second or third round, Holland's experience might keep it close early, but I think Malott's just gonna get it done. Give me Mike Malott. Before we get into the main event, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more content. In the main event, we have Reinier de Ridder versus Brendan Allen. Two elite grapplers collide in the main event. De Ridder's perfect in the UFC meets Brendan Allen's submission mastery. This main event is pure grappling gold. Reinier de Ridder is 35 years old, 21-2, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 2 months ago. He lands 2.95 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 2.44, and has a 78% finish rate. He also has a 91% win rate. Brendan Allen is 29 years old, 25-7, 5-0 in his last 5 fights, coming off a decision win 2 months ago. He lands 3.85 significant strikes per minute, absorbs 3.96, and has a 59% finish rate. This middleweight main event is a grappler's dream. De Ridder has a 78% finish rate with 18 total submission wins. That's crazy. He's 5-0 in his last 5, hasn't lost since 2023, and then just fought 2 months ago. Both guys are incredibly active and on fire right now. Big respect to Brendan Allen for stepping up after Fluffy Hernandez's injury pulled out of the fight. The key stats here, De Ridder has that 91% finish rate, which means he almost never loses. De Ridder's defense is also slightly better. He only absorbs 2.44 significant strikes compared to Allen's 3.96. This fight for me is going to be decided on the ground. Both are elite BJJ practitioners. De Ridder with 13 submission wins, Allen with 14. Whoever can impose their grappling first wins, in my opinion. On the feet, I think both men will land and have success. Allen doesn't move much or offer much head movement. De Ridder likes using the knees in the clinch and stepping in the range. He leaves himself open to be countered, so this could get him caught. But De Ridder's experience at the highest level in one championship, where he was a 2-division champion, gives him the edge in big moments, in my opinion. And also coming over to the UFC and getting a win over Robert Whittaker, I think is going to pay dividends. Allen's fought more in the UFC, but De Ridder's pedigree and that near-perfect record are hard to bet against. I think this is going to look like a high-level chess match on the mat. De Ridder's top control is ridiculous. He suffocates people. Allen's slick too with those 14 submission wins. But De Ridder's pressure is built for 5 rounds. He's patient, efficient, and brutal when he gets in advantageous positions. I think it's a technical grappling chess match early, but De Ridder's control, composure carry him, and give me Reinier de Ridder to get it done. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Let me know your picks in the comments. Questions, comments, thoughts, and your feedback are always welcome. And as always, until next time.